Hello, welcome. My name is Veldboom, and in this video, I'm going to be taking you guys over the overall design of the car that is going to be in the first level of my first video game that I'm launching. So I've been working on this car for about the past 3 to 4 months, I would say, and everything is completely done now, so I don't really have to add anything to it. What the car is a representation of what I think the future of powertrains would look like in the year 2030, 35, maybe 2040 even, and that is kind of the general premise of the game as well, that I kind of explore the opportunities that technology presents me with in different ways. So this car will take advantage of like a hydrogen fuel cell technology that would enable the car to have a very limited tank that you could put hydrogen in, that would allow the car to have a high energy density and a high range and all of that. So with that, you would also be able to have maybe metal 3D printing, which would be capable of using multiple materials within a metal 3D print, and then it would be possible to integrate a full electric motor system that is 3D printed in one go. And I know this is like future gazing and kind of using my imagination a little bit of what would be possible, but I do think that that is kind of what the future of powertrains, or even what the capabilities in the future are. So that would kind of make it possible to make a hubless powertrain that would actually be in the wheel assembly. So this would be then the electric motor itself. You would have the suspension upright, and all of the suspension components would then also be kind of mounted to the wheel, and even the steering rod here. So you could see, even if you go underneath it, that there is quite a sophisticated suspension setup going on here. So yeah, if you would kind of take a couple of the body panels off, here you have the torsion bar, the torsion spring suspension setup with a pull bar that is attached to the top wishbone, and then you also have like almost like a Koenigsegg triplex anti-roll bar hydraulic bar that's in the middle that could control the ride height of the car, and also like the anti-roll bar stiffness to kind of keep the car level in different ways, and also adjust make it adjustable with how stiff you want the suspension setup to be and all of that. So that is basically what this setup would be here in the middle of it. So as soon as you start to move the wheel up and down, you can kind of see that this right here is a torsion spring, so that will start to rotate, and that is a spring that kind of works on rotation. So you would have kind of one point that stays solid and the other one that's kind of rotating around that point, and that will kind of create a spring effect. And that rotation is already then transmitted to this center spring here in the middle that would kind of give the basically, if you were going like through a corner and this wheel would be pushed up in the air, when if it's leaning in, then it would push the other wheel again against the ground to keep optimum traction on both wheels on all corners. So it's kind of like an anti-roll bar damper system that is in the middle there. So that is basically what you would be able to do with the packaging and everything. And then this is the steering rod, and it is actually now also on pistons that would make it possible to move it backwards and forwards, that you can kind of create a Mercedes dash system for the Formula One, that you could actually adjust the steering angle. But I locked it now in place because I kind of wanted to find that neutral spot where it's supposed to be, and that is kind of the setup that you have here. So if I then move like the steering axle, you can see like both wheels are rotating, and that would create, steering lock in the car. And I'm about to take this file over to Blender, not in this video, but because I still also need to watch tutorials on how to do it, but I'm gonna kind of make everything to where I can rig it to where I can also put it in the Unreal Engine and drive it around, So I won't be able to do that in this video, but I'm kind of working on getting there. And then in the rear is basically the same thing, and then you would kind of need one more bar here to kind of make sure that these pivot angles, that the wheel just stays in place, so that it's not kind of like able to steer. Or I could even fit like the same steering arm to the rear here as well, to be able to also make like rear axle steering and stuff, that you could kind of turn the wheels in opposite directions and stuff. So that even might be a better option. I'm gonna do that. So I'm not done yet, but I'm almost there. It's not too much of a job. I can just copy paste it and have the same result going. So I need to get that done still then. But before I kind of get into any other thing, oh yeah, let me show you the interior. So the doors are kind of like on a little bit of an Aston Martin and Swan angle, but it's a little bit more extreme than with the Aston Martin. It's just a little bit more vertical. And that is just this very simple mechanism that is just floating in here. And because I'm now making stuff for video game stuff, you know, I just need it to work. In the virtual world, I don't really need it to work in the real. So I'm just using solutions like these to kind of get these things done, just to make it operate and look like it was a real car. This is like a screen that needs to be attached to this door panel right here. And also I should change the color of all of this here. But that is basically what the interior is going to consist of, is that you would have a door that opens up pretty wide. You can get in. It's kind of like a monocoque setup. You would have your steering wheel here, and you would be able to adjust like the position of the steering wheel with these knobs on the center console here. And you can then push and pull the steering wheel towards you and backwards, and also do the same for the pedals that are here down this in the footwell. And the seat would then kind of stay stationary. You won't be able to move the seat around. And you know, you have like an air conditioning duct system that is kind of controlling the way that the air is kind of moving out here for the windows. And also this channel would kind of lead to the door, and then it would kind of exit on the door right here, so that you would also have like cooling system set up to where it's kind of like pointing from the side. And also the speaker system would be pumped through that whole system and everything. So I kind of try to make an interior that would be, you know, cool to use and everything, and also would have like great sound setups. And then basically here underneath the floor, you would have like the hydrogen fuel cell that would sit here and kind of deliver all of the juice to the electric motors that are integrated within the wheel design. So what we're about to get into now is basically video game car design. So it's very interesting to me because I don't really see a lot of people doing this with their indie dev games. And I think for video games, you can only have like a little bit of a reference to either real cars or like Grand Theft Auto, where they make up their own brands and stuff, you know. So with Grand Theft Auto, what they do is basically mimic and combine different designs from different companies and put them together in a way to kind of get the result the quickest way possible. And that is a very smart way of going about it. But with me, I kind of pride myself most about my 3D designing capabilities, and you know, I want to kind of come up with my own stuff and do it that way. So what I did was I made this car. So basically what you can see here is my attempt of like my own video game design, and I'm gonna just turn the camera speed down so I can kind of like walk through it. Or what I could even do is I could literally walk through it. So that is also the amazing thing about Unreal, is that I could just kind of talk about my car in this way, you know. That is something that I have never been able to do before. So with the design, what I wanted to achieve is that from every single angle that this car would kind of look different. And I think with the ability that these open wheel designs give me is that it is also kind of linking that same, you know, open design throughout the whole architecture of the model, because you no longer have a motor in the front of the car. You no longer have the need for radiators because you don't have an engine in the car. And all of those differences and changes in the underpinnings of this car will also allow you to kind of break the rule book of what regular car design looks like. But you still need to maintain some level of recognizability within car design. And that is kind of the compromise, not really the compromise, but the challenges that I gave myself to solve, is that I wanted to have something that looked like a recognizable car for certain angles. But then when you start to pay attention to the details, then you kind of start to figure out that this is not a regular car at all. So if you're at this angle, like looking at it, then you'll see the floor from the car, and that is something that you will usually see kind of the motor, and you will usually kind of have a different perspective on, you know, that whole different area. So also for the aerodynamics, that means that there's nothing kind of obstructing the air in the same way that it would usually have done, and it's just kind of following the roof line and very smoothly and transitioning over to the rear of the car. So it's nothing really like obstructing it. And even that front section is kind of designed to look as if it were like a regular you know, like a front radiator or grill or something, but it's just an aerodynamic device to kind of produce a lot of downforce on the front even. So and also with aerodynamics, I'm talking about downforce being produced, you have this low splitter here that is kind of, you know, doing its job with creating a very fast moving underflow on the floor of the car, and also already preparing the air to kind of be shoot upward towards the roof line of the car. And then kind of, you know, also the headlights are a little bit too bright, but I also kind of designed those to have air outtakes just the front wheel there. and all that type of stuff kind of leading up to the rear. Damn, I should put a light in there. So here you would have basically like the rear diffuser tunnels that you would have there, because you don't have any rear shafts in the rear wheels. You don't really have you don't really have like a lot of motors or differentials or gears or anything in the back that would kind of take up that space. So you have just an empty shelf that could be used for either internal space here for storage, or you could put a massive diffuser there, and that will kind of balance the downforce that is being produced on the front here, and also with these all other tunnels that are behind the front wheels, and all of these opportunities for just downforce to be created around this whole car. And that is just basically what I've been trying to figure out. And I also have like videos of the actual CFD results where I go into more detail, but for this video game stuff I don't really know if I need to, because it's just more about the way it looks now, for me at least, than the actual mechanical engineering behind it, even though I still try to combine the two for sure. But I don't know, this is getting really cool now. So with this model, this is actually like a static model of the car. I can't really enter it yet, I can't sit in it, I can't drive it. So there's still a couple of things that I'm trying to do still. This is just like for me to showcase the design and stuff. So this version of the car is not really ready for me yet to be able to step in it and drive away already, but I'm getting close to that point. I hope within the next week or so I'll be able to kind of rig the car in Blender and kind of put all the drives in there to make the actual wheels rotate and the suspension go up and down bumps and stuff like that, where I can also get in it and show you guys like a little bit more of the interior and all of that. So that is kind of the next step of it. Speaking of the interior, I can show you like what it would look like once I'm on the inside of it, and maybe I should also put like a little bit of a light here and here. Basically what I can do is I can put extremely realistic textures on these seats, and using also the carbon fiber and stuff. So with the interior displaying, it just is just way better than SolidWorks could ever be. Like you see even the reflections that are coming from the cup holders, and this would be gyroscopic cup holders, by the way. So they have like pivoting axles right here, and also on the center line. So if the car would kind of be braking, they would be able to kind of swing with the direction of the G-force and stuff. So that is kind of cool to have in there. But then you would have these seats that are just carbon fiber shells, a little bit like the McLaren Senna way of doing things, and that is it's just amazing the way that the carbon fiber looks. And also as a designer, to just see my own work in this way, it's an extremely like satisfying thing to have for sure. So this would be like the air conditioning system with the speakers and everything set up, and you would have these screens right here that actually also showcase what the camera right there films, so as a reversing camera. And I'm also put like one more dot right here on the back of the bumper to be able to showcase the rear view camera on this screen right here. So you would just have like an overall dope design, if you would ask me. Of course I'm gonna be a little bit biased, but to just have in a video game, it's a look around, and this is just the level of detail that I'm trying to getting in there. And I don't think a lot of indie games kind of tend to look like this. I don't know if I'm cocky saying that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but from what most single person development games I've seen, I think I'm making quite good steps in this process right now. So also, yeah, one final thing that I'm gonna touch on, and then I'm gonna just leave it alone. Right here you can see that the lights in the wheels are actually also kind of shining, and these are now like on color changing palettes and stuff. But what I want to do with it is that you would kind of have the light showcasing the amount of power that is going through the wheel, because I want to kind of make a the torque vectoring system where you could actually drive it like a tank, in a way that you could power the outside wheels and turn them in the forward direction, but power the inside wheels and turn them in the upside down direction. So stuff like that could be done as well. And I was just kind of thinking to showcase the amount of power through like a light source in the wheel that is kind of being put through every wheel. And also if you like turn to the left, you would have like an indicator system or something like that. So that is kind of something that I want to add to the game as well. But this is getting fun now. So I'm gonna get the car driving as fast as I can possibly do it, and then I'm gonna start rolling out a little bit more of the details of the game, and kind of starting out to figure out the way to launch it. Whether I'm going like crowdfunding, or the different ways that you can maybe get involved in like the the release of this game. So with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully you enjoyed this content. More coming soon, and we're gonna drive this car very soon. So like I said, thanks for watching. Also follow me on Instagram, VeldboomStudios, and see you guys soon. I'm out.